In this video, we're going to be using a real life example. I'm going to be using my youngest kiddo's favorite stuffed animal, and it's really fun because when I print it out, they can color their favorite stuffed animal any way they wish. You can use anything that you want. You can use a photo of a pet or maybe a person, whatever you want, whatever object or person or thing is close to you that you want to practice on. And like I would draw a picture of my dog, but he does not stand still long enough. So I'd probably have to use a picture to get him. So we're going to be starting off with our usual 8.5 by 11 inch canvas. So you want to make sure, obviously, that the settings are set to inches, and you want to go 8.5 by 11 inches. And you can use different inches if you're using different inches of paper. So if you have a big enough printer that will do 16 inches by 24, that's great. But you have to make sure that the canvas size also matches that, which is 16 by 24 inches. And then same with like postcard size, either 5 inches by 7 inches or 4 inches by 6 inches. It's up to you. And so we're going to create this canvas. And again, like you don't have to sketch it out. You can just go ahead and draw it out on your own, and just tweak it as you go. I prefer to sketch it because that way I can go through and just kind of like finalize it a little bit better when I'm done. So we're going to be using a sketching pencil. I'm going to be using the 6B pencil for this one and making sure that my color is set to black, because that's what color we're going to be printing it out off of. And I'm going to be starting off to sketch out her favorite stuffed animal. And we're going to just kind of shape the head a little bit. So her stuffed animal that she loves is an owl from Build-A-Bear. And it's like her favorite ever. It was a gift to her, and it's a very well-loved stuffed animal. So you can just start off by kind of doing like a rough draft with sketching it out. And perfection is not the goal here. We're just getting the basic shapes. She's got a very round head, so I'm going to try to make it look a little bit more round. And you can select it. If you feel like you're running out of a room, you can select it and kind of resize it down a little bit just to give you some more room on your canvas. And I'm drawing the first wing here. And I will have this particular design as a practice coloring sheet as well. Now, this particular stuffed animal does have kind of like a spotted feather type of pattern on it. You can take the time to kind of add more details in if you wish to do that. However, that is a little bit more time consuming, and you have to keep in mind like the details that you put on there if they're going to be easy to color in when you print them. So usually what I do, if I feel like there's just too much detail and it's going to be kind of hard for people to really be able to color with, say, markers or acrylic markers or anything like that, then I will just kind of leave it as less detailed as I can so that they can kind of customize it themselves. If that makes sense, let me know. I'm just kind of sketching the stuffed animal's feet right now. It's very messy, but that is okay. It's all a part of the process, I think, as Bob Ross would say. And we're going to do, there's a circle on the owl's tummy. And the spots that I'm talking about are like all over her wings. So I'm just going to do just some circles just to kind of give the idea that the bird has little like spots on its feathers. And then I'm going to do the beak, which is kind of round. And the eyes. This owl has some eyelashes, so I'm going to be adding in some eyelashes. And a little circle inside the eye to signify like where the light hits the eye. Okay, and then there's also some white area around the actual eye socket area. I know that looks messy, but that is okay. Just a reminder to you and to myself. And there are some more spots all over this cute owl. And I'm going through this rather quickly just because I don't want to make this video like 2 hours long, but you can take your time and get it more the way you want it to be. You can make it more cartoony, you can make it more realistic the way you want. It's really up to you and what you're comfortable with. Anybody can do this, even if you think that the only thing you can draw is stick people. That's okay. Anybody can draw. There are no rules. And her feet have kind of like a circle on them because her feet are filled with stuffing. Okay, so this is the owl, and there's kind of like a little bit of a line that separates where the head and the body is kind of like sewn. So I'm going to do that. And also the legs as well. Just kind of put that there. And this is essentially what my youngest kiddo's favorite stuffed animal looks like. So I'm going to go up to these two little boxes up here and hit layer. And I'm going to go over this layer. But first, I'm going to turn down the opacity on my sketch. And then I'm going to go to calligraphy. My favorite brush is the monoline brush for coloring pages because the monoline brush really shows up well. It shows up very clearly. It's not really opaque. So I'm going to set it to 10% and see what that looks like for the size of brush. That's a little bit smaller than what I would prefer. So I'm going to increase the size by a little bit and see how that looks because I want this to kind of have more bold lines. And if you have a size that you really like when you draw it and you don't want to forget, or maybe you accidentally bump it and it changes, you can go over to that size that you're at that you like, tap on the area. We'll do one as an example. And you can go up to, like, say, whatever size you want. Tap on this bar right here and then hit the plus sign and it will add it to that. So it's kind of like a bookmark for the size that you want to keep. And then you can just tap it again and then press the minus sign and it will remove that. So I'm going to set this one to 38% and just go over the shape that I just drew. And make sure, I'm trying to get it as round as I can, or as oval as I can anyway. I'm gonna retry this again here, because her head is kind of more oval. There we go. That's good enough, I think, because her head is oval. And she's got these little spots of satin in her ears that I'm going to make sure to get on there. And then I'm going to do the body. Just kind of tracing over my sketch. And I'm going to clean up these lines as well. So I'm going to go to the eraser and just kind of gently erase, just to make it look a little bit more smoothed out. Like this one right here. I'm going to probably go over that again with the calligraphy brush just to, there we go, get it to look a little bit more smooth. And just kind of go, as I go along, I like to just kind of refine the areas that I think need to be a little bit more touched up. That way there's less work for me to do later, but really it's up to you on what you want to do. You can save it all for the last bit if you want to. It helps me remember, as someone who is easily distracted and I try really hard to be organized, I find it's easier for me to just fix it as I go along, because otherwise I will forget where some of these mistakes are as much as I zoom in and try to look for different like errors and stuff. I just fix it as I go along. It's a lot easier for me to do that. Okay, I think that's good enough right there. And then I'm going to trace over her wing that she has. I'm calling this Stuffy a she because she's got a lot of like rainbowy colors, and her name is Olivia, which is super cute. I think I'm going to leave this line that I have drawn off. I haven't decided yet, because her wing is kind of folded the way that I'm drawing her, because she's sitting on my desk next to me. And then I'm going to do the other side. And add the spots. I'm not pressing and holding as I'm doing this because her spots aren't perfect on her. I am also not making my spots perfect on this. And I'll add one more right here. That's fine. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw the circle on the tummy. And this one I am going to press and hold because I do want it to be more round. And her circle on her tummy is actually a circle, not an oval. So I'm going to do that. That's good. And then I'm going to add some more spots in here. Okay. And when I save this for you guys to practice on, it will be kind of more grayed out so that it's easy for you to trace over on whatever app that you're using, whether you're using a drawing app on Windows or on Android or on iPad. Because the way this process is, it's very similar across all of the apps. And you can even use different brushes if you want to. You don't have to use like the brushes that I'm using. I just prefer them because of the boldness and the ease of using them. And there's one foot. And I'm going to fix those spots. And the last leg, I'm going to try to make it a little bit more like it's full of stuffing because there's a lot of stuffing in this cute little owl. You don't want it too much bigger than the other one. You got to try to keep the perspective as best as you can. At least if that's what you're going for. Oops, I just realized that I did an oval, not a circle. So I need to go ahead and make this a circle. Because her feet are circles. All right. Just kind of fix it a little bit there. There we go. Now I'm going to add spots on that leg. Oops, let's see. And you're going to make a lot of mistakes. I've been doing this for quite some time and I still make a lot of mistakes. And that is okay. That's one of the forgiving things that I like about these drawing apps is that you can make errors and then just very easily go back and fix them if you want. It's a lot easier than paper, but I still do like the traditional way of paper and graphite or paper and charcoal. Okay, so now I'm going to focus on the face and I'm going to do the dots on her dot feather things on her face. And with some of these spaces, I'm going to wait to do those ones up top there because I'm probably going to need to adjust some things here. I'm going to kind of make my brush smaller, just a little bit there, so I can do the details of the eyes and make them into circles. Like so. And kind of make those eyelashes that we were talking about earlier, and the little eye spot that kind of catches the light. I'm going to go over this line again because it's a little bit more bold. So that's okay. And then I'm going to do the same for this side. There we go. I also like to try to look back and forth at the subject. So sometimes that can result in some extra mistakes too that I have to go back and fix because I'm paying attention to two things at once, which is very challenging for some people like myself. So now I am going to go ahead and draw those circles that are going around the eye socket. And on her, it's white. Okay, now I'm gonna go back up to the brush that I was using. Since I know I have a little bit more space, I'm gonna put in a couple of more of these spots. And then the last thing, I made a mistake. Oh no. So what you can do when you make a mistake and you're like several steps ahead and you're like realizing, oh my goodness, what did I do? You can hit the back arrow like this. Or you can, if it's way too far back, you can hit the front arrow to where you were. And I know there might be an easier way to do this. I have not actually figured it out yet, but you can just kind of go through, zoom in and go through and just kind of take out that little mistake that you might have made, because this owl does not have like whiskers. So we're not going to keep this. Sometimes it's easy if like the error is not too many far steps back. Take that out, smooth that part. It's all good practice anyway. So I'm going to very gently do that just to kind of smooth that out. And I can go over this area. Oops. I can go over this area just to kind of fix that. That happens to me quite a bit because I like to get ahead of myself, and that is okay. I think that's pretty normal for people to do a lot of times. Okay, and we also have one more mistake here. There we go. Good enough, I think. I'm going to just kind of smooth that part out a little bit, and this part down here. Okay. So the last thing that we're going to do is make the beak. So I'm going to kind of make it a little bit of a smaller brush than what we were just using to outline the beak. And the beak is a round circle, and the beak, she has a little bit of like a smile going on. So we're going to do that. And there is Olivia, the owl. And I'm going to turn this part off so that you can't see it, so you can kind of see the finished product. You can go back in and kind of tweak things a little bit. Like I am wanting to make this a little bit more bold on this eyeball because the other one is a little bit, to me, it looks like a little bit more bold. So I'm going to just kind of like make it a little bit more even. Okay, and then I think that is probably as good as I'm going to want to get it without being a complete perfectionist. So then you can go ahead and go up to the tool icon and go to share. You can either save it as a PDF, which is easy to print. And so I'm going to, because I'm going to be printing this out. So you can go to your print, you can print it out, or if you want to just save the PDF in whatever file folder you want to, whether it's Dropbox, whether it's your computer, whether it's your iPad, it doesn't really matter. You can even transfer it to your phone and then upload it onto a platform that you want to share with other people, or perhaps you've set up a shop in Gumroad or Ko-fi or Etsy or whatever platform you choose to be able to market it to other people to buy it. So you can do that, and same with saving it as a JPEG or saving it as a PNG image. And so I'm going to go ahead and leave that here for today. I'm going to go ahead and resize this so that it's a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to put it in grayscale, just kind of lower the opacity so that I can use it as a practice page for you guys to trace over if you so wish to do. And then that way you can transfer the file into whatever drawing program that you're doing and trace over it just to practice, just to kind of get a feel for it. Even if you don't think that you're a very good drawer, just give it a try. And I hope that you have a great day. Thank you for watching.